Probenzimmer.
Der Podcast aus dem Musiktheater an der Wien.
Heute mit Kai Weßler. Während der Proben zu unserer Neuproduktion Romeo et Juliette hatte ich die Gelegenheit, mit der Regisseurin Marie-Eve Signeyrole über ihre Sicht auf das Stück und ihre Inszenierung zu sprechen. Unser Interview fand diesmal nicht während einer Matinee statt, sondern wir hatten schon 2 Tage vorher die Gelegenheit, uns über ihre Gedanken auszutauschen. Charles Gounods Romeo et Juliette erzählt die wohl bekannteste Liebesgeschichte des Theaters und man kann wahrscheinlich sagen, dass jeder, selbst Menschen, die normalerweise nicht ins Theater gehen, ungefähr wissen, worum es bei dieser Geschichte geht. Was war dein Ansatz oder was war dein Bedürfnis, diese Geschichte auf der Bühne neu zu erzählen?
First of all, in this libretto, we are focusing on the Capulet family and not on the Montague family. So for me, the best focus was to be on the character which is surrounded by the Capulet family. I wanted a feminist character because I think she is. I choose that the muse will not be the woman, but the man. So Romeo. That was the first point, the departure of the main concept.
Also fast eine Art Umkehrung der klassischen Geschichte. Nicht die Julia ist das Objekt eines aktiven Mannes, der sie begehrt, der auf sie zugeht, sondern umgekehrt, Romeo wird zum Objekt einer sehr aktiven, einer sehr selbstbestimmten Julia. Romeo und Julia ist voller ikonischer Theaterbilder. Also es gibt die berühmte Balkonszene, die jeder vor Augen hat. Es gibt die Duelle, es gibt die Sterbeszene, vieles mehr. Also es war die Nachtigall und nicht die Lerche, ist beinahe sprichwörtlich geworden. Braucht man diese Bilder in einer Inszenierung oder muss eine Regie heute ganz neue Bilder erschaffen?
I think I never try to bring new things. I work with a scenographer who wants always a new approach with the scenography. Me, I am more focusing to be touched by the character. So I needed to be touched by my character to be able to drive them somewhere. Somewhere you need to fall in love yourself with Romeo and Juliette to be able to let the audience falling in love with them and to be touched by the staging, indeed. So yes, for sure, for the balcony, we have this idea to inverse the point of view. So Juliette is not on the balcony, but it's Romeo, and you discover this suddenly. And it's inverse also the fact that he is a muse and not she's a muse anymore. So we try to, through all the dramaturgy, to follow this direction. Even sometimes, for sure, with the rehearsal, some things change with the first approach. But I think with the singers we have, they were well chosen because we have a strong Juliette. She's really able to play with the camera. She gives a lot of shades. And the Romeo, I thought at the beginning to have someone maybe more romantic, more soft than her. But indeed with the singers we work with, we choose finally to find a common point between both of them. Maybe the borderline character. Both of them are more borderline than we could imagine when we are reading the piece.
In Shakespeares Drama geht es sehr stark um die Feindschaft dieser beiden Familien. Das sind auf der einen Seite die Capulets und auf der anderen Seite die Montagues. In der Oper bleiben wir im Wesentlichen bei der Capulet-Familie. Von Romeos Familie lernen wir nur einzelne Protagonisten kennen. Was ersetzt diesen Handlungspunkt in der Oper? Also wie geht Gounods damit um, dass er diesen zentralen Konflikt gar nicht oder kaum erzählt?
Unfortunately, I think in the libretto there is not a lot, not a lot connection with the piece, the Shakespeare piece. But I think we find the fights in the music. The music tells the fight between the two families more than the libretto. The libretto is more focusing about feelings, how people fight into the Capulet family more than between the two families. So we try to refocus this fight through the cinema world, where two big dynasty of the cinema in California are fighting through interposed movie. And we were really inspired by the Francis Ford Coppola family and Sofia Coppola character for Juliette. and maybe like Robert Redford for the Montague family. So we try to refocus the fight between the two families through this cinema experience. Yeah.
Marie-Eve, du benutzt in vielen deiner Inszenierungen Video auf der Bühne. Also es gibt Live-Kameras in vielen der Arbeiten, die ich von dir gesehen habe. Große Projektionen, auch bei Beljaza letztes Jahr am Theater in Wien hast du dieses Mittel benutzt. Und du benutzt es hier natürlich wieder. Hier wird aber auch Filmen selbst zum Thema der Inszenierung. Also die Aufführung thematisiert gewissermaßen eines ihrer wesentlichen Mittel, nämlich das Filmen selbst.
Yes, we always try, when we are using camera in the piece, we are always trying to find a new approach or way to justify the camera on stage. For sure, for me, the first point is to be close to the character, because we are missing a lot of their play, their way to be on stage when we are so far from them. So the camera helps to refocus and to be touched maybe more by the singers. But also in this piece, we have decided that as Sofia Coppola is, she was first an actress, but she decided to be filmmaker, movie director, and in our piece, it's same. Juliette is an actress. She's forced to be an actress by the father, by the Capulet father. He decided everything for her, and at some point she wants to drive her life herself, and she decided to film, to become a filmmaker. So in the piece, she's the one who films. She films Romeo. She finds the main subject, the muse.
Verstehe ich das richtig? Also, dass dieses Ergreifen der Kamera für Julia das ist so eine Art ein Akt der Emanzipation, also ein Akt der Selbstermächtigung.
I think for women, even I'm stage director, and it's not new now, but 20 years ago there was almost no one. It's same for composer, it's same for conductor, and it was same for filmmaker. So for me to have a woman as a operator, as a filmmaker, is not something new, but it's something who tells a lot about the power you got when you do yourself thing, when you tell yourself your own story. So, yeah.
Kino war jetzt mehrfach das Stichwort. Die 90er Jahre waren ein großes Jahrzehnt des Kinos mit vielen wichtigen Filmen, vielen großen Regisseuren in der Zeit. Sind Filme für dich eine Art von Inspiration? Also guckst du gezielt Filme, um auf Ideen für Theater zu kommen, oder ist es eher ein Speicher von Inspiration, der kommt, wenn dann die konkrete Geschichte erzählt wird?
I think the inspiration for the work we do in opera is always coming from cinema, dance, theater, politics, social networks, and for sure the cinema is also based, maybe more in this case because we are working on a piece who tells a story about two cinema dynasty. So yes, we find the inspiration, and I think it's good to say where come from the idea. It never come from nowhere. We are always inspired by the others. Indeed, I think we do nothing new. We use what we are, we use our experience, but are looking about our experience. So also, I pick up with my team some ideas, and it's like signing the reference. We were speaking about Coppola, Sofia Coppola, so we are trying to look for un genre, for the picture also, who come from the 90s. So, yeah.
Gibt es in der Oper einen musikalischen Moment, eine musikalische Stelle, der für dich ein Schlüssel zum Verständnis ist? Oder vielleicht anders gefragt, welche musikalischen Momente in der Oper inspirieren dich besonders zu der Inszenierung?
I don't know if I have one moment who is closest to my heart in this piece. I think it's something I'm looking for, how to go into something and to be driven by the tension we are creating on stage. I think the chorus part are really strong in this piece, and I'm maybe more touched by the end of Act 3 with the main chorus. Also by the end, because the music is written totally different than the rest of the piece. This long duet is like endless duets, and the musicality has something romantic, but also a kind of deconstruction of the romanticism. So I really like also the last duet.
Du hast vorhin gesagt, es gibt große Unterschiede zwischen dem Drama und dem Opernlibretto. Empfindest du das nur als einen Verlust oder wie bekommt die Oper eine eigenständige Qualität oder was ist das Eigenständige eigentlich an der Oper?
I think we are missing a lot description of the Romeo and Juliet story in the libretto. And me, I was more inspired by the music in terms of emotion. But for sure, there is many moments into the piece which is really cinematographic indeed. Like you have you can see a landscape, you can close your eyes and the works is already made. I mean, the staging is here to tell a story, to offer a picture, a landscape, but indeed you have almost everything with the music. So I'm not sure it's only a landscape. I'm touched emotionally by the character because of the music and not because of the text. Yeah.
Es gibt eine Figur in deiner Inszenierung, die eine ganz andere Bedeutung bekommt als in der Oper und im Drama, die du aufwertest und zu eigentlich einer Hauptfigur machst, und das ist Bruder Laurent, der Priester, der Romeo und Julia traut und sich damit im wahrsten des Wortes etwas Unerhörtes traut. Magst du uns ein bisschen erklären, wie es für dich dazu gekommen ist, diese Figur so ins Zentrum zu holen?
So, Frère Laurent is one of the key of our staging and dramaturgy. I think I ask myself sometimes why in some opera you have this little character who comes from nowhere without any background. So I always try to give a background to each characters, to make them into the piece before they have to appear to sing. Because I think it gave a lot of colors for the main characters. For Frère Laurent, I changed a bit the genealogy of Frère Laurent. He's not a cousin from Romeo, but from Juliette in our version. I find interesting to draw a picture of teenagehood of Juliette. I mean, by whom she was surrounded. So she was surrounded also for me by Frère Laurent, who is a kind of cousin. She grew up with him. They have a kind of ambiguous relation, but not so ambiguous. They were young and they discover intimacy, sexuality, maybe together. He's in love with her, fully in love with her, and he has to decide to choose his own way to live. And as Juliette, who decided to be filmmaker, he decided to be priest, maybe to be out of the power of the Capulet fathers. And in this piece, he's the one who I don't want to tell the story, but who gives the key to the death. He's really connected with the death, even in his words and in the lyrics. So it was not so complex to give him more shades and to give him a character complexity. So he's the one from the beginning until the end who drive her or who help her to be driven into the dark world. Yeah.
Ich habe in deinen Antworten ein bisschen den Eindruck bekommen, dass dieser Konflikt zwischen den beiden Familien, den es bei Shakespeare gibt, dass der für dich eigentlich der Konflikt zwischen zwei Generationen ist. Also die ältere Generation verkörpert durch Capulet, die jüngere Generation verkörpert durch Juliette und auch ein bisschen durch Romeo. Spielt so ein Generationenkonflikt für dich eine Rolle? Magst du das vielleicht zum Abschluss noch ein bisschen erläutern?
The conflict between generations in this piece is really clear because we are in a bourgeoisie world, and for sure the father has a lot of influence on her daughter. But I think the old generation is here to help the young people to drive their own direction. They can go into the direction they choose for us, or we can go out of this direction. We can fight against, but we need them. We need them to build our character. Even it's with difficulties, even it's with fights, we need to fight against something, always, to become someone. So I think the Capulet father is not only he's not the bad guy, he's not the bad father, he was also educated by some other generation. So, but it's interesting because the singer we have is really involved in the piece and give also a lot of shades to his own characters. So, yeah.
Liebe Marie-Eve Signeyrole, vielen Dank für das Gespräch. Die Premiere von Romeo und Juliette, wo man dann sehen kann, wie all das, was Sie gerade gehört haben, auf der Bühne stattfindet. Die Premiere findet am 23. Februar 2023 in der Halle E statt. In unserem nächsten Probenzimmer-Podcast wird Sie mein Kollege Christian Schröder begrüßen und dann geht es um Antonius Salieris Oper Kublai Khan.